This is the Mobula 7. Many reviews already online about this. It's actually been replaced already by the Mobula 7 HD. This is not a review video of the quad itself. This is an upgrade video. I've had time to fly this quite a bit. Have had a few issues, nothing too major, until the other day. I was flying this outside. I took off and had what I will only call a failsafe. Um, as soon as I armed, it went to full power, and the only control I had was to disarm. I didn't have any controls. I didn't have any throttle control or pitch roll, yaw. So I disarmed. It had already gotten about 10 feet high, and when it came down, it landed upside down on its top. It did not hurt the canopy or the camera. Didn't hurt the mounting points at that time. There's already been some framework done, and I'll go through that here in a minute. But the thing it did do is the camera, and this is going to be very hard to see on the video, but right here, this white spot is the crystal for the radio, and when it came down and pinched that and broke half of that piece off. So I didn't have any receiver then. I have the camera still works. I still have my OSD in that, but no receiver. And I went into Betaflight and verified this, as well as got another quad that I already had bound to the radio, and it's fine. So it's not a radio issue. It's just related to this quad. So what I did for the time being was I found a video that detailed putting an XM Plus in place of the built-in receiver, and I did that, and it works fine. You tie into the UART where you get smart audio and set it up that way as a S-Bus receiver, and everything's fine. But you do sacrifice smart audio. You do sacrifice with the XM Plus, you sacrifice your telemetry except for RSSI. I flashed RSSI channel 16 firmware to this before I put it in, to the receiver before I put it in. So you sacrifice that, as well as by using S-Bus receiver, I lose LED on the board, and I don't know whether that's I don't know the workings of the board well enough to know why that is, but I just know that if I go back and put SPI receiver in the way it comes, then I have LEDs, and when I go back to S-Bus, then I don't have LED. So, and that none of that stuff is fatal. It all flies. It flies fine. Everything works fine. I just like those features. So I've had other issues with the frame. This is the V2 frame. This is what mine came with, but this is a supposed improvement over the V1, and I'm sure it is. It is very flexible, but it has some points in here where the flight controller mounting is on the bottom side that are really thin, and I took a couple hard crashes because of an issue with the internal receiver that makes the flight controller basically lock up. It's not a fail-safe, but it locks up in flight after a pack or two of flying, and causes basically a fail-safe, even though it's not. That's what it seems like. I found a fix for that through a Joshua Bardwell video, and I can link that in the description of the video to show you how to get around that. And it's not a fix, it's a band-aid more than anything. It gets you rebind your quad in D8 mode instead of D16, and you lose telemetry that way too. But with the OSD, it's not a huge issue, but it is an issue. I like having more than anything, I like being able to use Lewis scripts on the Taranis to change my Betaflight settings. I find that easier than the OSD. That's my preference. So I've decided, I ordered the parts to do this. I bought the Happymodel V3 frame. I bought LED strip to go on the back of that frame. This does not come with this frame. I just had it in the box. So this is a programmable LED strip that we can do through Betaflight, and there is a spot on the back of the frame for this to sit in. I think just a dab or two of hot glue will make that fit in nicely, give us a little LED color. And then this is the V3 frame. It's, from what I can tell, essentially just the Eachine trash cam frame, but it does appear to be much beefier through the points where I had braked. Here where the flight controller mounting posts are, that's where I had trouble. It doesn't seem to be as flexible as the V2 frame, but it seems to maybe be thicker plastic than the V2 frame. So the duct strut design is a little different, as well as it looks like the battery tray is just slightly different. I think I'll still be able to use the stock piece to hold my batteries in. I print these on my own because they have a tendency to disappear. So I have a few that I printed in more neon color. They're a little easier to find when I drop them, but this is a fine way to hook it on there. I know some guys don't like how that's done, to do the two 1S batteries, but that's fine with me. The reason I bring that up is this board that I bought is the Happymodel. It's the Happymodel branded, but it's a Crazybee Pro F4 with the built-in FR Sky. This is the version 2.0. It is F4. The original has F3, so that's an upgrade there. Still internal receiver, which I actually prefer, so I should be able to get my telemetry back this way. I don't know about the D8, D16 issue, if that's still going to be a thing with this. I think that's more of a problem across the board with the FR Sky stuff, so that may still be an issue, and I'll work around that if I need to. I know there have been guys talk about their original Mobulas that they haven't had that issue, so I'm not sure what the correlation there is, but hopefully it'll work for me. If not, we'll cross that bridge. This board does come with, and I guess I should say I ordered this on tinywhoop.com. I like to get a lot of micro stuff from them when I can. They were one of the few that had this board in stock at the time. So this comes with the factory style connector on the Mobula 7, which is a 2 PH 2.0 power loop connectors, and like I say, I will go with that still because I like to fly 1S occasionally. And I have enough of the 1S stick type batteries that it's really a better deal for me. It does come with an XT30 connector pre-soldered with some leads. So if you rather do like a 550 2S battery on it, that's an option too. It has that connector. It does come with it also comes with a 1S only connector, but that I don't think anybody would be running on a brushless, or I don't know why they would. So does come with screws for mounting the flight controller, a set of the grommets that are the Mobula style grommets. They are different from a Beta FPV or Tiny Whoop, that style grommet that everything uses. They're different. They're a little taller because the posts on the frame are taller. So it comes with a set of those as well. So what I'm going to do is I'll get a weight of this quad the way it is, and the only difference between this and stock is these props are Gemfan props. I had issues with the original Mobula props coming off the shafts, and I don't know if that's just me or if that's a thing with these props, but they did fine otherwise. They were durable enough, but I had right out of the box, I think the second flight, I had a prop come off the shaft, and it was on to start with. I put a new prop on and had that prop stayed, and I had another prop come off. So I bought these Gemfan props. These are 3-blade. They press on very tight, but I haven't had any issues with them coming off. They're plenty durable. They do sit up out of the duct just a little bit, which I think may affect performance slightly, but they perform, as far as how it flies, they perform the same as these. I don't know weight-wise how they compare. They got to be very close. I'll weigh the frames when I get it apart, so you can see the difference in the frame. But I think this is going to be heavier, but I think any weight increase with this frame is going to be worth it for the durability that you're going to get out of it. This frame is fixable. This isn't something that you have to do. I use welder glue and fix this. Some guys like to use E6000, I think it is. I've always used welder. It worked fine. I flew several flights this way without any trouble. I repaired a cracked duct at the same time. It's all that stuff's fine. So there's not any real particular reason that you have to do this. It's just I got enough other stuff to fix that I'm going to go ahead and do it at the same time. So I'll go ahead and solder up this board, get my pads tinned for what I need on it, and then when I have everything taken apart, we'll come back, we'll weigh the frames, and then we'll put the new guts in the frame and see where we go from there. So let's weigh the two, the new and the old. Keep in mind this has got a little bit of welder on it, not a lot, but a little bit. So ounces, grams, 4.36 grams. I don't know whether you can see that or not. Yeah, 4.37 grams on the original V2 frame. New V3 Happymodel frame, 5.63 grams. So there is a little bit of weight difference, but like I said, I think the durability increase is going to outweigh the weight gain. So go ahead and let's get this thing shoved in here. Now this slot, this is what I was talking about at the back here, is a slot for the LED strip, and I'm going to go ahead and get this in there first, and then I'll wire the LED strip because those pads are on the top. One other thing I'm going to do too, I'm going to mount the buzzer on a little piece of tape kind of facing upwards so it stays kind of out of the way, as well as I'm going to put a piece of tape over this front portion where I had issue on the other one with the radio. What I assume is the crystal for the radiator being broke. I'm gonna put a piece of double-sided tape there just to give me a little cushion in case that does get a strike there again. Maybe that'll keep this from happening again. Alright, so I got the canopy put on, got the LED strip programmed in Betaflight, plugged it into Betaflight. Everything seems to be fine, functioning fine. I still have to bind it to my controller, but everything seems to be okay as far as that goes. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the motors put on, plugged in. I'm gonna run props out configuration on this. I'm gonna try to run some Mockingbird settings on it, Project Mockingbird. If you've never heard of that, look it up online, or I'll try to put a link in the description for that. It gives, I know on tiny whoop size stuff, it gives some really awesome flying characteristics that mimic an Inductrix flying, and then they've got have brushless settings. So I'm gonna try that out at least for a little while. So that requires props out, so I'm gonna run props out. I'll have to hook up to BLHeli suite and go through and get my motor direction set properly. But I'm gonna go ahead and put the motors on and do that, and then we should be just about wrapped up then. Alright, so we're back here. We have everything put together. I used a couple dabs of welder glue to fix this LED strip kind of in place. Still removable if it needs to be. I got everything set up in Betaflight, all my settings, PIDs and rates and stuff that I want to run. Right now running the stock Mobula 7 PIDs. One thing to note is that these Gemfan props, the 4-blade specifically, they will not fit in this frame. They hit the ducts. So I'm back to the original Mobula props. I'm not sure if there's a workaround for this. This is the props that I tried to run on there. They did work in the other frame, so I'm not sure. I guess it's just a difference. I'll have to look up some props for the Yashin trash can and see if I can find some other props, or just get some more of these. Hopefully they fit the motor shafts a little bit better. So anyway, we got everything put together. We'll take it for a buzz here just to make sure everything works okay, and then we'll get it outside But all in all, basically just a bolt together installation. The only reason I had to do any soldering at all was because I switched flight controllers, but that's it. Otherwise, it's just unbolt the motors, put the motors back in, and hook everything up, plug everything in. So we'll put a little flight footage on the screen here now, and while we're watching this flight footage of me flying outside on 2S, we'll talk a little bit about this. All said, this frame appears to be a lot more durable than the other one. It took quite a few spills just in this short test session, and everything held up just fine. The LED is a nice touch, gives you a little bit of added visibility, color. The flight controller, I don't have an opinion on that one way or the other at this point. Everything seems to function okay. I do have, you'll notice in the video, probably some erratic behavior. I have a vibration problem, and I think that is due to the added tape that I put on the flight controller in order to protect the front of it where the camera's at. I think I'm going to end up taking that off and redo some of this testing to see if it's a motor problem or if it has issue with the flight controller. I think it's probably a motor, or the tape is transferring vibration from the camera to the board. I tried different set of props with the same outcome, and also some of the PID settings. I played with PID settings trying to change the vibration, change the characteristics of it. It made it fly sort of funny. You might notice in the video a couple times I try to do a front flip inverted, and the correction that it does is the board itself making that correction. It's not something that I did. It almost acted as if it was in angle mode or horizon mode, a self-level mode. When I got upside down, it corrected itself to back right side up. I'm not sure. I'm sure that that's a PID setting. I did play with PIDs and filter settings, and I've decided to go back to what Race Day Quads recommends for PID and filter settings to start with, and we'll go from there. You will notice in the OSD I had voltage setting wrong, so I do get some low voltage alarms that were false, as well as my RSSI is not working, and that's due to being in D8 mode. There's not enough channels to make that function. So I think all said that this is a good upgrade. Thanks for checking this out. If you like this video, like and subscribe down below. Links to all the stuff we talked about and all the products that I used will be in the description as well, and check those out if this is something you want to do, and thanks for watching.